like grenades too? Yeah. Oh.
Project Smelta. I said I was done with the whole Solter saga, but Project Delta came out, and I was actually pretty intrigued with how the game was, so I decided to check it out. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how the game is, but I'm also extremely disappointed as well. I'm pleasantly surprised because I love the concept of the game. And I think this game has the most potential out of like any game I've ever seen. Like, this game could be the greatest Roblox game of all time, right up there next to Base Wars. That's how I think this game could be. But the execution of this game is just awful. I think this game really needs to change if it wants to be good, in my own opinion. So I decided to put this video together. Now, this video is mostly to Solter on how to make the game better, but I also want some feedback from you guys. How are you guys liking the game? And if you have any suggestions on how you think the game could be better, please leave them in the comments below. Now, before I get into it, a couple disclaimers. First, this game is in like beta, so like a ton of these things that I'm suggesting are gonna get fixed in the future, or maybe are gonna get added, so you have to keep that in mind. And second, I'm gonna give my completely honest opinion, which means it's gonna be a little bit mean, but you know, this is just what I think. And my vision of the game isn't really gonna line up with Solter's per se, but here's my ideas of what I think this game could be. So let's get into it, my boys. So the first and biggest problem I have with this game is realism. And realism isn't inherently bad, but when the game strives to be too realistic, it takes away from the gameplay. Now, there's a fine balance between gameplay and realism. When you add too much realism, the game becomes super duper boring. You see, this game is very similar to another game called Tarkov. I'm not saying this game copied that or whatever, but the similarities are there. And Tarkov is an extremely hardcore and realistic game. In fact, that's what makes it unique, how realistic and hardcore it is. But Tarkov offsets this by having a very expansive weapon modification system and armor penetration. This is where Project Delta goes wrong. It tries to be super realistic, but it doesn't have enough content to offset that, so it just becomes really boring. Here are some examples. Why is this game so dark? This game is awful at nighttime, like literally unplayable. But they give you a lighter, yay! Now you can see 5 feet in front of you. If you don't know the map like the back of your hand, you're gonna get lost. I just don't understand why a nighttime has to be this dark and this long. All it does is make the game unenjoyable. And I understand that flashlights and night vision would offset this. Most players would not have those, and they would just be walking around in the pitch black. My suggestion would be to make the nighttime shorter, lighter, and give the player a flashlight instead of this dinky lighter. The next big problem with Project Delta is the map, and I'm just gonna be honest here, the map is awful. The gameplay in the background reflects what most of the map is, which is just nothing, empty space. I mean, just look at the map. I have two main problems with it. One, the map is way too big, and two, there's only 5 locations, and I get that there's going to be more locations added later, but there's no reason that they should be this far apart. Also, you don't even spawn with this map, so if you don't look it up online or have prior knowledge, you don't know where any of these locations even are. Also, the locations are way too small. With 25 people in the game, there's almost always somebody already at the places that you're going to, but we'll get into that later. Another problem are the exclusion zones and the fact that they take 30 seconds long. What is up with that? I mean, they only take 7 seconds in Tarkov, so what's the excuse? I literally could go make a whole sandwich by the time I'm excluded. I mean, come on. The movement actually isn't terrible. The jumping's good, and the sprint speed is a little slow, but not bad. The big problem with movement comes from 2 things, the walk speed and the swimming. Swimming isn't actually that much of a problem because there's not that much water on the map, and I'm sure it's going to get fixed in the future. But the walk speed is terrible. The gameplay in the background shows the walk speed with literally nothing on. No equipment at all. Why is it so slow? I mean, you can only shoot when you're walking, so to peek people, you have to come around the corner at half a mile an hour and just get destroyed. It kind of sucks. Also, sprinting makes a ton of noise that can be heard across an entire monument. And the only way to stop that is by walking, and we all know how slow walking is. The combat in Project Delta is a really interesting subject. Because of the lack of content throughout the whole game, the combat system is kind of like the focal point of the gameplay, which means if the combat's bad, basically the whole game is bad. And this is where my biggest problem with the game kind of comes up. It's the combat system. Is it really bad? Well, kind of. I think the combat system gets a lot right, but even more wrong. But with some small changes, I feel like it could be super fun. Before I get into the bad stuff, I'm gonna start with the good stuff that I actually wouldn't change. First is the guns and recoil. The guns feel so much better than the past Solter games, and probably one of the biggest improvements I see in this game. They feel awesome to shoot, the recoil's not bad, and they're just good guns. Next is the attachment system. It's really good, makes the guns feel really dynamic, and you can make your guns all personalized. Next are the grenades. The grenades feel a lot better. You can throw them farther, they don't roll around terribly, and they just feel way better. And that's really it for the good stuff. And now I want to get into all the things I would like to see changed and that I think are actually really bad and hurting the game. And trust me, there's a lot when it comes to combat. The first and fundamental problem with all of the combat in this game is the time to kill, or how fast someone dies. And right now it's just way too quick, and this is for reasons that I'll explain in a little bit. But Project Delta is a game where you're not often on an equal playing field with terms of fights. Often someone sneaks up on another person and gets the first shot on them. And when the time to kill is this fast, you often don't even get a chance to fight back, which makes all of the fights extremely one-sided, and you die either really quickly or kill the other person really quickly, which makes it extremely boring. I think out of the dozens of fights I've had in this game, only 1 or 2 I felt were actually good fights, and the other 30 of them just ended up in one person dying entirely too soon. And what I feel the biggest contributor to this is the weapon imbalance. See, guns just do way too much damage. Here's a list of a couple weapons in the game and their respective damage values. As you can see, the pistol, submachine gun, and assault rifle damages are all basically the exact same. Also, the damages are just too high. I mean, the pistol and SMG should not have that high of damage. Now, to combat this high damage value, there's a penetration system in the game for armor. And the penetration system is pretty complicated, but basically how it works is the better the ammo, the more damage it does through the armor. Now this system works in a game like Tarkov that has a bunch of different tiers of armor and different ammo types per ammo cartridge that all kind of work together in this balanced sense. Tarkov also has like 7 different health parts for each body part, totaling 440 health, which makes the time to kill a lot slower. But Delta doesn't have that, and that's where the problem comes in. Guns like the SVD and the Mosin basically don't care about armor at all, while pistols literally do nothing to armor. This creates a pretty bad imbalance where armor is either really overpowered or just completely useless. And I get where Solter's trying to do with this, but this is another case where the realism of the game takes away from the fun gameplay of it. Like, the old armor system was completely fine in the other games, so I feel like he's just changing it just to try to be realistic, which doesn't really make sense to me. But the problems with armor doesn't really stop there. First of all, armor makes you slow down, which would be fine in games where you don't have to run a bunch, but this game you're literally running the whole entire time from location to location, so it literally makes it so boring. On top of that, you can't have an armor vest and a storage vest in the same slot. I'm sure he's going to fix that in the future, but that also makes you not want to wear armor. On top of this, helmets are completely unbalanced in this game. The helmet system is just awful. Half of the helmets only cover the top of your head, which rarely gets shot anyway. You usually just get shot in the face. And the helmets that do cover your face are via visor, which are extremely annoying. They just make your screen tiny and just really unfun to play. I don't get that. An easy solution to this is just to make the helmet cover the entire head. That would make helmets more useful. I don't care that it's not realistic, it's just a stupid game mechanic. On top of this armor problem, the Roblox character hitbox is also a problem. Because the Roblox character is a literal Lego person with giant blocky arms and legs, the person is entirely too big and easy to hit. The head is also massive and probably the biggest target on you. Because of this, I feel like every single fight I have ends in a headshot, which makes it really unfun to play because it's just one shot from basically any gun, and the helmets don't do anything. This combined with the slow movement speed and extremely fast time to kill makes combat just awful, but it doesn't really stop there. Another giant problem with the combat in this game is the campers. There are so many campers in this game. Because there's only 5 locations on the map, every single place you go to will already have somebody in there, and if they see you, they're just going to camp in a corner and kill you when you walk in. This is because camping is such an effective strategy. This is due to the fact that players move too slow, the sound system is too loud, time to kill is just way too fast, and the locations on the map are too few in number and just too small. Yeah, camping's a giant problem. I think like 70% of my fights are just trying to kill campers, and I usually lose, and that's not even a skill issue, it's just because the peeking is so slow and all those other problems. That camping just makes you just better, I guess. Another problem with the combat system is the health bar. I never really know what health I'm at without looking in my inventory. There's an easy fix, just put a number next to the health bar. It's pretty easy. I don't know why it's not there. Also, cheaters are a pretty big problem, but you know, Solter's trying on that, so I guess I can't really complain. Oh, also another problem I forgot about, the ammo types. And I totally get why he put ammo types in there. It makes the game more realistic, but you don't need that many. I mean, there are 3 different pistol ammo types. Like, that's just too much. Also, I feel like the mag system is a little overboard. I mean, it works okay, but it just takes up way too many loot slots, and you always need extra mags, and it's just way too complicated, really. I mean, I would just make the weapon system just like his other game. It worked completely fine, and it didn't need to change, like, at all. Like, it would be perfect for Roblox, that's all I'm saying. I know I had a lot of complaints in this video, but that's because I actually really like this game. I think it could be an awesome game if it had some changes with it. But like I said, I think this game suffers from what I like to call the Solter problem, where he tries to make his games way too realistic and way too slow-paced. This game is Roblox and not Tarkov, and if it was different than Tarkov, it'd be so much better. Because Tarkov has so many inherent flaws that are keeping it from being like a top-level game that this game could actually do really successfully. If this game fixed its complication and bad combat system and made it more fast-paced with a bigger, more intricate map and a better group system, I would play this game all the time. On top of all this, I actually have one more giant change that I need to see in this game. It would push this game into the stratosphere. It would make the game the best game of all time. An arcade. An arcade would be so fun. Imagine going with the boys and playing some arcade games, gambling some of your rubles. Bro, it would be so fun. Come on, Solter, please just add it. Also, this game needs another food item. I suggest Schlatt Minis. Here's a picture for reference. You better add this or I'm getting my lawyers involved. And there's a couple more things I'd complain about, but honestly, I'm tired of complaining. And yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, and I'd like to hear what you guys think in the comments. And please don't say what I've heard like 1,000 times, that it's just a skill issue or it's supposed to be hard. I get that, but it can also be hard and fun. It's just hard and boring right now. So yeah, have a good day.